Once again, Professor Steve Keen, K-E-E-N, Professor of Economics and Finance at the University of Western Sydney in Australia, the author of Debunking Economics, his website, debtdeflation.com. Professor Keen, welcome back.
Glad to be back, Tom. I enjoyed our last conversation quite a bit.
Thank you, and me too, and I'm looking forward to more. And by the way, you're working on a new monetary simulation program. I find this fascinating. Yesterday, I was on the air. In fact, actually, I think it played today on KPFK, our Los Angeles affiliate, with Alan Minsky, whose dad was the economist. And he said, "Hey, I heard Steve Keen on the program talking about he's creating this program, based on my dad or using my dad's name." And he was very, very pleased by that. And
I'm glad to hear that, Tom, because when I used Minsky as the name for the software, I actually tried to get hold of Alan and I couldn't find his email. So I'm glad that he's happy about it.
Oh, he's loving it, and his dad was apparently one heck of a guy, and you're honoring that memory. So you are trying to fund the creation of this with a Kickstarter campaign. How do people find out more about that?
If they go to Kickstarter and just search for onto technology and look for the name Minsky, I think a search will find them easily enough. They can also go to my blog, which is, as you've mentioned many times, www.debtdeflation.com/blogs. And I've got a link there on the right-hand side that takes them straight to the Kickstarter page.
Okay, great. So debtdeflation.com is enough to start out. Okay, so here's the question that I wanted to run by you. I've been reading enough of modern monetary theory stuff, and I realize there are kind of camps within camps here, and enough of your stuff, actually, even also, that I think I have it. I think I understand that one of the basic kind of foundational formulas here is that, as in double entry bookkeeping, there is a balance of sorts between private capital or debt and public capital or debt, plus or minus the current account balance, our trade deficit or debt, plus other things that we do internationally that generate or lose us money. Is that an accurate statement to begin with?
It's an accurate statement because it's an accounting identity, and this is one of the things which they're emphasizing, and I emphasize the same thing. You have to perceive a monetary economy from the point of view of the banking entries that make the money system turn around. So if you look at it that way, as accountants have done for almost half a millennia now, if not longer, they divide different types of accounts into assets, liabilities, and equity, and they ensure that every transaction which you show on one row sums to zero. Now, what that means is if you actually say what's the total sum of everything, it ends up being zero.
Right.
Across that level. So if you talk about the balance on the private sector and the balance on the public sector and the balance on the international account, it necessarily sums to zero. So that's an accounting framework with which you start your analysis.
Right, and out of that comes this notion that if you have a public debt of, say, for example, $16 trillion, that actually has to represent, on the other side of the ledger, savings in the private sector or something in the private sector, plus or minus the trade deficit, right?
It does. This is where I start diverging. I think I might put these things in context here. If you look at what's happening in the monetary debate in America, you've got one extreme, which is the Chicago side that Paul Krugman calls the freshwater economists.
Right, the Milton Friedmanites.
And you've got the very, their argument that they analyse the economy as though it's always in equilibrium, doesn't have banks settle money at all, et cetera, and they're arguing for austerity and so on. And then at the other extreme, you have the debate going on, people saying, hang on, austerity is the wrong policy right now. And part of that particular component, Paul Krugman's obviously in that camp, and he's not a modern monetary theory person, obviously, but modern monetary theory is also there saying, hang on a second, you've got to look at the fact we live in a fiat money economy, and if you try to run austerity in that system, you'll reduce the amount of money in circulation and cause a downturn, which is the exact opposite of what you're trying to achieve. So that's the overall spectrum. Right. I'm coming at a slightly different angle and saying that, yes, they're right to say that it's a fiat system, and that has to be taken into account, and that does mean now that austerity is a bad idea, but it's also a private credit system. And the private credit system isn't necessarily constrained by what the public sector is doing. So Whereas if you take a look at that argument that a private sector deficit equals let's say if you say a government's deficit equals the private surplus, so therefore any liability created by the government sector becomes an asset for the private system, when you're looking just in a closed economy model, that to me is accountingly correct, but it implies that the private banking system is therefore constrained in what it can do. Now, that's not the case.
Right.
You can have quite possibly have the government sector running a deficit and therefore pumping money into the private economy, and simultaneously the private banking system can also be generating more loans than it's getting in back in repayment. So it's also injecting money in at the same time. So I see them.
Would that not be the point where you start generating inflation?
Well, yeah, or generating financial bubbles. I mean, the main thing that the private money creation has done, of course, is create asset bubbles in the housing sector.
Here's where I was going with all this. The thing that is added to this is the plus or minus the current account deficit or surplus. Yeah. And it seems to me, I mean, looking at this, and you're the economist, I'm not, it's why I wanted to reality check this with you, is that it looks like countries that chronically run trade surpluses like Germany or China or Japan, that trade surplus gets thrown into the equation in such a way that it allows them to have those deficits and not be damaged by them. Japan probably the best example of that. And on the other hand, we've generated since the Nixon administration, if my math is correct, about a $9 trillion trade deficit. Excuse me, they have a trade surplus. If I said deficit before,
yeah.
We've generated about a $9 trillion trade deficit. We continue to add $600 billion to $1 trillion a year to that trade deficit every year. Would it not be possible to construct a model where one of the easiest ways to grow our way out of this, not only because it would bring jobs back home and that is going to move people from government payments to paying into the government, but also because it is affecting that double entry bookkeeping system, to go back to mercantilist trade policies like the United States had from 1793 to the 1980s, and start generating a trade surplus, and thus make our deficit irrelevant.
Well, this is one area where I do have some differences with some of the ways modern monetary theory interprets trade deficits, which they see as actually being a positive thing. People give you, if you own a deficit, they're saying you're getting goods in return for little pieces of paper, effectively. I'm of the same opinion you are on this front, that a country that runs a trade surplus insulates itself against many of the dangers of asset bubbles and so on. So if you look at what happened in Japan's case, the fact that it was running trade surpluses for the last 20 years is a major reason why it didn't collapse completely under the weight of its own bubble economy when that blew up in 1990. It could export into the rest of the world's Ponzi scheme and come out, with that side of the ledger balancing out very much in their favour. So it does make an argument that the mercantilist attitude is better. Michael Hudson makes this case quite frequently, that the main way the countries have grown is through mercantilist policies. The problem which we have to be aware of is that genuinely in the case of international trade, it is a zero-sum game. If one country has a trade surplus, then somewhere else there has to be a trade deficit. Right. So if you all try to do it, you can't succeed.
Right.
Now, the reality is the countries that do will succeed.